So some of the key achievements from the previous NIPs, and maybe before I even go there, let me begin by saying that our initial NIP was developed in 2004, 2005, and then we were able to review that in 2019. So the progress that I'll be talking about, some of the achievements will be covering the achievements that were gained between the first NIP, the second NIP, and now the current NIP. And these include that we were able to have an initial inventory of POPs, particularly PCBs and obsolete pesticides. We had somehow we had some public awareness campaigns and trainings for key sectors such as the agriculture sector, as well as the environment in terms of waste management, as well as strengthening of the regulatory framework. And this includes updates of the Pesticides Act, as well as the Environment Management Act of 2017. As much as we had these achievements, we had some challenges as well. And the challenges included limited technical and financial resources, which hindered full implementation of identified actions. On this point, I'd like to say that in as far as POPs is concerned, we haven't had very much national budget allocation towards the implementation of the NIPs as they've been reviewed, and therefore that has hindered the implementation of the identified actions in both the 2005 NIP as well as the 2019 NIP. Also, another challenge was that we identified gaps in data collection, sometimes because of lack of information or understanding, as well as testing to know if the products, for example, POPs in products, you're unable to test and find out if they actually contain POPs, including regular monitoring. Another challenge was the weak enforcement of existing regulations and also limited interagency coordination. So the lessons learned in that include the need for a stronger multi-sectoral coordination mechanism, as well as a robust data management system to support evidence-based decision-making. So these lessons will be central to guiding the current NIP update process. Okay, so currently we have the umbrella Act, which is the Environment Management Act, which governs all chemicals and all, hazardous substances. And in that we have regulations under it, and specifically we have the Chemicals and Toxic Substances of 2008. But as you can see, it was a 2008 framework. So because of that, we realized that we needed to update it. And we did update it and submitted it to the Ministry of Justice in 2020. But to date, it hasn't been gazetted. And obviously, with the new POPs that have been added to the convention and so on, obviously we'll need to update that that list as well. But nevertheless, we have to say that our act and our regulations have been forward-looking, and we sort of like just had a clause in there that said, as and when the POPs are updated at the Conference of Parties, they will automatically be updated in our NIP as well. So we can say that that's a plus for us, including the Pesticides Act. It was recently reviewed in, well, much not very recent, but it was 2018. They actually reviewed it, and it included issues of POPs as well. So we can say that the legal framework to govern POPs is is ongoing and relatively updated. And like I said, we've got a clause in there that talks about updating the list of POPs as and when they're added at the convention or agreed at the convention and other international fora. And I think that is a good way that we can say that POPs are being considered in the national legal framework. Yeah, so I think the biggest issue is about data. Unfortunately, we are not able to have all the data the way we would like to have it. So ideally, when something is getting into the country, the customs agency is the one that gathers that information for us. And it's not in a form and manner that is very relevant for us. And as much as we've tried to ask them to capture, we haven't been able to get that information properly. So there are the data gaps that we are currently facing, and I already foresee that it's going to be a continued challenge, as well as laboratory capacity to test, because of the type of equipment that is required, the reagents, and so on and so forth. So I foresee those two as major challenges, and obviously the funding aspect that I alluded to earlier, that would also be a challenge, especially if the national budget does not allocate funds for the implementation of the actions that are pointed out in the NIP. I think that would be a continued challenge as well. So the one of the things that we did as a country is, instead of using just one consultant, as it were, we decided that it would be better to have national consultants be part of this process. So the idea there was that in the event that one person moves on or unfortunately dies, at least there is some institutional memory. So number one, we identified the key sectors. Number two, we used national consultants. So for example, in the agricultural sector, we picked 2 or 3 people, and with the hope that they would also transfer the knowledge as they go along. And this has happened across the sectors that we feel are key in the NIP review. So that's the first method that we've used. But then obviously, I think that we need to digitalize the information and the data that is gathered through the process. We also think that we need to continue to have interministerial meetings, interministerial or interagency meetings with the sectors. And these should be ongoing so that the information is current, the information is passed on to even the new colleagues that will be coming along, so that there is no data gap or knowledge gap, as it were. But also, I think we need to have standard operating procedures laid down, that they could be used, so that if someone comes in, a new person, at least they know where to start from and are also aware of what they need to be looking out for as they do the NIP. So I think these are some of the methods that we could use to bridge the knowledge gap that could exist. Yeah, so I think that's a very big challenge, public awareness. And I don't know if this is the same challenge that other countries are facing, but POPs are very complicated. And for you to explain them in a local language is already difficult, let alone to explain the issues and the problems that they pose. So I think it's very important to have the people who are doing the public awareness able to first understand the issues and then to translate that information in a manner and language that people will be able to understand. So the continued engagement with the civil society as well as the people that will be doing the awareness is one key issue, and I think it should be a continuous thing that goes on. But then also I think it's important to engage everyone, not just a particular sector. And I like the idea where you talk about community, maybe private sector. I think the private sector, especially the ones that are responsible for selling pesticides and such products, they should also be in the forefront, being equipped with the right information, first of all, as well as being able to communicate that information in ways and manners that the local person can understand and be able to take proper action in terms of prevention, in terms of just looking out for what we're talking about, and also reporting as well, because I think there's a gap in terms of maybe people using a product and are not and probably are facing problems with it, but they do not know where to report. So I think we need to have a place and a method of where we can also receive information from the farmers or the users of the products on how it's behaving, and that information gets to the central office where people can make decisions of how to use or whether to remove from the market, or even just talk about plans of how to prevent that from continuing to be a problem.